From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. It is Monday, and we are in the second week of November as well, too. So pretty much we are rolling really fast to get into the end of the year as well, too. So, man, I know everybody's excited, and it's probably a slow point of the year for a lot of folks as well, too. So it is what it is. But you know it's Monday, and you know what time it is. You know I got my main man, the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson, and let's go ahead and bring him on out. What's going on, Jeff? How's everything going?
You know, our pre-show warm-up, our pre-game warm-up, I was spitting some venom. Just go over the last couple weeks. I mean, in the NFL, I'll just go in your town neck of the woods. No Henry, no problem. I mean, Stafford looked like the old Stafford last night, and then no Kyler, no Hopkins, no problem. I mean, what has the NFL come to? They wheel out this guy from retirement, AP, who played in the Last Supper, and he's scoring touchdowns. So the NFL right now, through 9 weeks, this is anyone's Super Bowl. It's almost like March Madness, and get to the tournament, get to the playoffs, and anything can happen.
Yep. And funny thing is with the Titans, we did talk about this on NFL Bet Exchange, and I've said this over the last few weeks. And a lot of people have to understand, I think this is the second time this season they won as a +7, +6 doggy dog on the road against one of these elusive NFC West teams that everybody felt that were going to be so elite this year compared to everybody else. The Titans have went in there 2 times in a row and have won those games. And this is a fun fact about that team this year. They haven't lost one game as the underdog this year. Not one of them. All their losses have came as a favorite. And we all know that, the Jets lost. We didn't see that one coming. And we both know their other loss that they had against the Cardinals to open up the season, that was just outer body experience for them, because literally they thought they were going to be able to get back into that game, and they were nowhere near getting back into that game. So, the Titans are tough, and the Titans came into the season with expectations. And a lot of us already said when they acquired Julio, this could possibly be the best offense in the AFC. And I think that they're proving that point But this was the alarming stat for me yesterday. There were a lot of games where other teams outgained, had more plays, all types of things going on with the game. And those teams got beat, and not beat like by a little bit. They got beat badly as well, too. So pretty much look at the Browns game, for instance. The Browns got outgained. They had about twice more plays that were ran for the Bengals and more time possession for the Bengals. They beat them 41-16. So it goes to show you, if you can score quickly and play some pretty good defense, you don't need gaudy stats to prove your point. Let's go ahead and look at another game. 36 first downs to 13 first downs. This is Minnesota and Baltimore. And you know who had the 36 first downs? The Ravens. And the Ravens wind up only winning the game by 3 points. So stats really don't matter at the end of the day. And Lamar Jackson had about 388 yards as well, too, in total, passing and throwing. He ran for 120, passed for like 266. So pretty much as you guys can see, that the stats can lie sometimes in a game. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day, Jeff.
I just, that Minnesota, we had at ECSI, we had Minnesota plus 264 on the money line in our action parlay. And when that game was lost on that PI right before the half, Minnesota was up 21-7 trying to get in at halftime. And then they give up that PI and it was 21-14, even though Minnesota returns the opening kickoff to get 2 scores up again. Minnesota being Minnesota, another OT loss, another, down to the final gun loss. A lot of teams like that in the NFL just find ways to win. It's like anything in life. If you're accustomed to being a loser in life, you'll find a way to ruin a free lunch by asking for change back. I mean, it's just the way it is. In the NFL, there's certain teams that are just used to losing in their program. We're going to find a way how we're going to lose this week, and they do. And I'm not, just yesterday was the cherry on top what's going on in the NFL, period. The 5 dogs plus 5 or more winning outright. We talked about it. Denver plus 10, plus 700 on the money line winners. You could have got Jacksonville plus 13 or 1,400 to beat Buffalo, winner. Atlanta plus 260, winner. And there was 2 more. The Titans plus 260, winner. The Browns were short dogs. The Giants were short dogs. The dogs just killed it. So if you are a favorite, every parlay card, every money line parlay, every teaser card, up in smoke. The books are looking for new land to buy in Vegas as we speak right now.
And it's funny because, I'm a dog day pick 4 guy. And, I could have easily put it together a crazy lotto ticket yesterday because I did like Denver straight up. But I had this feeling that they would probably keep the game close and lose a close one because we know that sometimes Jerry got the refs in his back pocket in games like that one. But I've come to notice, though, when they do play against teams like the Broncos and teams that are middling, that he doesn't have them in their back pocket. It has to be kind of an even situation with the other team. But the Cowboys just came out ultra flat. And what happened with them was that 4th and 1, once that wasn't completed, that threw them off. And then it goes back to what you said a few weeks back when they did win a game by the skin of their teeth. You said that the coach was the biggest reason why they even came close to losing that game. And yesterday was the biggest reason why they did lose the game yesterday was because McCarthy was absolutely clueless once they weren't able to get that first drive off and get that confidence going and everything like that. But let's go ahead and jump into the playoffs right now. And what I see in the AFC, Jeff, is something crazy. I see 8, I think it's almost 10 teams. They only have 16 teams in the conference. But how is it that almost 60% of your teams have damn near the same exact record? We got 4, 5, and 4 teams sitting outside of the wild card position right now. We got a 6-2, a 6-2, a 5-3, and a 5-3. Then you got a 5-3 Raiders team who was the first place team until the Chargers won yesterday. So the Chargers are back now technically in first place. And even though they have a tie record, then you have Pittsburgh pending tonight. They could be 5-3. And then you have New England, like you said before, they snuck through the back door and they are the 3rd. They would be the 7th seed in the playoffs if we started it today. And then the Chiefs, the popular pick, that everybody is the ultimate being of the 2020s. Oh, yeah, they're out. They're not even in this thing. And the Browns are only out of this thing because they have a loss to Kansas City and they have a loss to the Chargers. But they're 5-4 for a team that easily could be 8-1 right now. The only game they truly lost was the Arizona game. The rest of the games were blown leads, every single one of them. Chargers, blown lead. Chiefs, blown lead. Steelers, blown lead. The only game that you weren't in was the Cardinals game. That's it. So, to me, that's a positive for the Browns because they don't have a bye week till week 13. so they can still do some winning before they go on their bye, and they can do significant winning before they go on their bye. You know what I mean? But it might be something that you hope that they're still intact. And then Denver's 5-4, and Denver is quietly saying you need to show us some respect, especially after yesterday, because I've told people before, Teddy football will have you in any football game, period, point blank, if the groove is going. You know what I mean? You never sleep on a guy, Teddy Bridgewater, who should have been possibly, you know, when you look at it, his draft class or who he came in with as quarterbacks, he should have been maybe when he did. You know what I mean? Because maybe he could have, but going to Minnesota was the perfect situation because he had Zimmer as his head coach, and he had a good offensive coordinator there as well too. And then you know, just a good positive situation, and it taught him how to be a professional. That's why they're doing so well. And with the AFC's kind of more just like it was last year, very contrarian, Jeff. You have Arizona 8-1. You have Green Bay 7-2. You have Tampa Bay and Dallas both 6-2. Rams on the outside looking in at 7-2. Then you got the Saints and what? Atlanta. Atlanta's in the is in the cherry spot. And this team has lost 3 divisional games already this year. And they're actually seen as the 7th seed, eking out Carolina just by a bit, a team that just beat them last week, but Carolina's 4-5 at this time. So all I'm saying is that the parity is absolutely nuts. But I would say this, once again, the AFC picture is not gonna look the same at the end of the season at all. You know, right now it's a lot of teams in the same place, but all this is doing is setting up a crazy last month of the season, a crazy December, crazy last 2 weeks of the year where tiebreakers might play a part in people getting into the playoffs.
No, I mean, there's 2 key games next week. Cleveland at New England. The winner is 6-4. And the Chiefs are at Vegas. So there's another game. You know, as bad as the Chiefs are playing, if they beat Vegas next week in Vegas, they're back where they need to be. You know, the added extra game is just going to create chaos. And like you said, the NFL is exactly where they want it, where you know, you got an extra spot to get into the playoffs. You got more teams that are not mailing it in for draft picks. They're actually swinging to get into these positions. And what we saw last week, yesterday, is a perfect example. No game is safe. No team is safe. Listen, you can say Arizona right now is the best team in football. Today, talk to me in 4 weeks. Talk to me in another 4 weeks. You're probably talking Rams, Bucks. Guess who miraculously is playing on Sunday next week? Russell Wilson. So as much as you want to bury, what's that?
I said, of course, he was going to get back.
So as much as you wanted to say, hey, they're all dead and buried, in comes Russ. I think they're traveling to Lambeau, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it here. Where is it? I don't have that game here. Unless it's a Monday night game. Oh, no, there it is. No. Only 3.5-point underdogs. You know, maybe they don't know if Aaron Rodgers should be cleared on Saturday. And I'll just throw this out here. I don't have any inside information, okay? But I think OBJ looking for a landing perfect home for him. That's just my 2 cents there.
Right. I'm hearing that he wants to go to Seattle as well, too. But one thing is Seattle might be a little bit more of a different type of locker room for him. But the diva not producing thing will get you cut quick from Seattle as well, too. So, you know, let's not just say free OBJ just for you to be on another team and waste their time. Because I feel like at this point right now, the guy's done. He's way too Hollywood for it to be in the NFL, to be a true star in the NFL. You know, guys like T.O., guys like T.O., they showed up. You know what I mean? Period, point blank. Randy Moss showed up. They could do their little thing on the outside of the field, but they showed up. he is bordering Chad Ochocinco levels, where you were really good for a while, and then you changed teams, and it just wasn't the same anymore. You know what I mean? So
it reminds me of teams keep going after Josh Gordon. You're going after 2013 Josh Gordon, okay?
Right.
And so OBJ, since the catch on Monday night, it was a great catch. Applaud, bravo, bravo. He has been nothing but a headache, a diva, a menace to the locker rooms. He's become bigger than the product itself. I like the Seattle situation. Not that I expect him to perform, but you got a good quarterback with Russell, and you got two wide receivers to take some pressure off of you. Maybe you can get your head straight. Maybe, this is the chance to say, hey, you said you wanted to be on a contender. Well, I think you're on a team that is not out of it. And if Russ comes back and they put a few wins together, it's a good spot for him. That's my take on that.
Right. I love me some Seattle, but I just think that Seattle is they've dug themselves too deep. But when I see a team like Atlanta as the 7th seed in the NFC, they still got a chance. They still got a big chance but Atlanta's playing better football. Matt Ryan, they're playing better defense. The offense is never in question. It's always about the defense with Atlanta. And they've been playing really good defense the last 2 weeks. Even though they almost blew the game yesterday, they played great defense for the first 3 quarters of that game. So, yeah, I give them a lot of props with that. So, let's move on and talk about a guy I mentioned earlier. And we'll talk about the playoffs more and more as we go along, Jeff. It might be a talk every Monday now since we're in week 9, and we know that the playoff picture is taking place. You know what I mean? We know that it's getting a face now, and I think the one team that we can lock it in on probably being in the playoffs with no issues is the Packers. I don't know about the Cardinals can be good, but me and you both know that Kyler Murray might be a hit away from it being the season. So we'll see how everything goes. Hopefully everything works out because I want him to be healthy and want him to be in the playoffs. But we both know that the guy's getting beat up and he's little. You know what I mean? He's a tiny guy, dude. And it doesn't matter how much heart you have. Pain is pain. So let's go ahead and let's look at Lamar Jackson, man. Lamar Jackson. It's just director, go ahead and just say action, and then we can all be entertained. This guy, by far, is carrying. I've never seen a guy carry one football team by himself the way that Lamar has carried the Ravens since his set. I wouldn't say right away because the defense kind of carried him first. When he first came around, he just was much better than what Flacco was at the time. And I think his MVP year, they literally put the whole team on his shoulders, and it's been like that ever since. And he didn't complain about it. He hasn't done any of that. He's just went ahead and did the job and has done great. Even though he does get critics for the little things about him throwing and blah, 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 blah. He's doing the same amount. He has the same amount of work rate that Cam Newton had in his prime with the Panthers. Even better, though. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, he's taking the the quarterback position to a whole nother level. And he's the only guy I know that quite possibly you can line him up as a receiver. You can put him back there as a running back. You can do a lot of gimmicky things with Lamar Jackson. But as Mark Schlereth said yesterday, this guy is the only guy in the NFL that 14 eyes need to pay attention to. Meaning the front 7 needs to always have their eyes glued in on what Lamar Jackson's doing and trying to stop Lamar Jackson. Yesterday, Lamar was passed for 266, ran for 120, had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions yesterday. On the season, though, this guy is playing absolutely out of his mind, and I know that there's others that will be considered for that are probably higher up, but I just think with the fact that the Ravens really aren't that good of a team, all in all, they really need Lamar to have these huge, big moments for them to even win these games. And that's what I think what warrants him to be the MVP this season. And when I look at the stats right now, rushing-wise, he's 695. He's going to go over 1,000 yards probably for the 3rd time in 3 seasons. And he already has 5 rushing touchdowns. And then when it comes to the passing game, He has, when it comes to the passing game, he has 2,200 yards, going for 276 a game. And then he's also got a QB rating of 96.2 with 13 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That's where you kind of get your little 5 touchdown. He still has 2 touchdowns, so that's 15 in total on the year for Lamar. So I would say this: if I had an MVP vote, Lamar gets it. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
I'm just looking at the records right now from the NFL, trying to figure this out. Dallas at 6-2, so Dak's in the mix. He'll probably get the comeback player of the year, so maybe he wouldn't, obviously get the MVP. The Titans, Henry could have been the first running back in a long time, obviously, to get the MVP. If the Titans continue to go on their winning ways, they're currently 7-2. Tannehill could all of a sudden, believe it or not, get into the mix there. 6-2, Tom Brady and the Bucks, obviously. Kyler Murray, 8-1. I mean, if they keep winning the way it is, I think he would be the shoe-in. The Packers at 7-2 right now. Rodgers, obviously. Vegas right now at 5-2. I mean, no one's talking about Carr and all the turmoil that they've been through with Gruden, with now Ruggs, and now this. They're moving forward there. Listen, Lamar's won this before. They're in a tough division. Okay, Bengals losers of 2 in a row now. Bye week, they desperately need it. Steelers somehow, some way are winning again. The Browns 5-4, traveling to the Pats, and now you got the Ravens. So as much as we say the NFC West hands down is the best division in football, this division from top to bottom, I think, is the most complete division behind the NFC West. And so they go as far as Lamar goes. We know that. But what really sets them apart is when they get out in front, most of the time you're not going to catch them. They were fortunate this past weekend to get behind twice by 14 and come back and win. If they were playing a team that knew how to close, unlike Minnesota, I think there would have been a whole different story. But hats off. I like where they're going. And listen, I'm a big Harbaugh fan as a coach. I like his mentality. I like his approach. I haven't heard many people that go to Baltimore that don't like playing for him. I think the AFC is totally up for grabs. I think there's probably teams lying in the woods right now. As you said, the 6 and 7 seeds that a month from now could be a 2 or 3 seed, and we'll see what the last month brings. But I like where your eyes are here, Pops.
Yeah, and the MVP race is just cooking up a little bit. And I thought that I would mention it because I'm just damn impressed with what Lamar is doing. Everybody's doing what they do, but Lamar is doing it with the team to where if he's not the quarterback, they're 2-6 right now. Seriously, maybe 0-8. They're just not good to me. The Ravens. You have to have a really good quarterback like Lamar to keep this thing pushing and keep this thing going. They don't have. This isn't the old school Ray Lewis walk with me defense anymore. You know what I mean? This defense gets butchered week in and week out. Yeah, they've had a few good games this year, but all in all, this has been one of the worst Ravens defenses I've seen in a while, since probably the inception of the Ravens coming from Cleveland. You know what I mean? They just
Lamar and Baker are playing for their next contracts. They're playing for their lives and their livelihood. And the Baltimore has turned and flipped its script, its whole offense dynamics built around Lamar. So put it this way, if they would have gone 5-12 this year, then they have a serious decision. We're moving on from Lamar, and then they got to regroup and they got to flip the offense again. He doesn't have the greatest weapons. Listen, I think Hollywood's good. I like Mark Andrews. They've lost their number 1 and number 2 running backs this year. And so now they're wheeling in a Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell. They got the Rook back there as well that's kind of faded into the sunset. So, again, the credit to Harbaugh and the organization to keep molding these pieces together, and it all comes with Lamar. Lamar, you're our leader. Please take care of the ball. We're going as far as you can take us, and right now it's working.
Well, I think with the contract situation, I just think that they have to work out the little logistics and get some of that bigger money that's on the cap with older guys off, because I think their sole intention is to sign Lamar to be the highest paid quarterback ever. I don't see him even them even attempting to let him even get on the block. You know what I mean? And Baker Mayfield's situation will probably wind up, if they can't get the contract the way he wants the contract, he'll probably just be franchised, or they could possibly find a team that might be looking for a quarterback that's in the draft and then go ahead and make a deal with that team. But I think Baker's safe as well too, because Cleveland hasn't had a quarterback as consistent as him, even though it's not the consistency that most love and cherish. They haven't had a guy as consistent as him since, say, Vinny Testaverde. I know everybody thought I was going to say Bernie Kosar, but I'm going to talk about the guy after him. But in this new era, you never had a quarterback actually play consecutive seasons except for Derek Anderson, where he was the starter. You know what I mean? So, and that was a big foul up as well too, because Derek Anderson was a really good quarterback. They just had a pressure situation with old Brady Quinn, who's in the booth now talking. He could still be in the NFL, but he's in the booth now talking.
I thought we were going to dig deep and go Brian Sipin, the real dog pound.
Right, but you know what? That's going way too far, and they got further down the road with guys like Bernie and Vinny Testaverde. Brian Sipe was more of a Sunday afternoon special. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, see what the sniper can do. All right, so
kids.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the Monday Night Football matchup real quick. We did talk about it on our show, the NFL Bet Exchange, but we don't have to go too deep into it. But I remember from my notes last week, we had ourselves for week 9 notes, we had ourselves a pretty even situation when it comes to over-unders and things like that, because both these teams have went under a lot this year. And you have a Bears team 1-3 on the road, 1-3 over and under on the road, 2-1 versus the AFC, though. That's the alarming stat that I do have here. And they're 0-3 over and under versus the AFC, and they're 1-5 as an underdog this year as well, too, straight up and against the spread. And they're 2-4 when it comes to over and unders as an underdog as well, too. Then you got the Steelers. They lost their one game against the NFC this year. So, they got a loss to the Packers. And then they're 2-2 straight up, 1-3 against the spread at home. This is another thing that can work out into the Bears' favor tonight. And then they're 1-2-1 when it comes to the over and under at home. And then they're 2-2 straight up and 1-3 against the spread as a favorite. All that stuff sticks out to me a lot tonight. And that's why I feel like you're not going to be in a bad spot taking the Bears tonight. Even though Bears are risky business, I just really feel like you will not be in a spot with them tonight. I think that they will be able to cover this game, and I do truly think that this game does turn into a good old black and blue type of matchup as well too. So real quick, what are your thoughts, Jeff, before we go to break?
I just think breaking this game down, I just saw the total slip up to 40. It is a flat 7 all across the Vegas Strip. I think if you like the Bears today, I'm going to throw everyone a curveball here that's listening. I'm going to go to their team total, and their team total right now is 16.5 juiced under. So if you like the Bears plus the 7 today, I think it might be easier to get a cash if you just took their team total over 16.5. So as long as they get to 17, 20, or 23, 24, whatever it is, obviously, you cash that ticket. What scares me here is the numbers are basically saying somewhere in that 24-17, 24-14. So do the Bears. The magic number for the Bears tonight is 17. Can you get maybe a pick 6? Can you get a punt return? Can you get an easy score just to get you to where you only need 10 more points? So if I'm to play this game today and I like the Bears, I'm going to go over the 16.5 in the team total, Pops.
All right, so there it is. So with that, we're going to be right back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back at you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back. And it is NBA Monday night, and so pretty much that's where we're at tonight. And pretty much we got 8 games tonight, Jeff. I'm excited. I'm so happy. And I know that we got college basketball returning this week as well, too. But you guys have to understand this is college basketball in preseason form, so you're not going to get teams. So don't be shocked when you see a top-tier team lose to UMass Lowell or somebody loses to Long Island, Brooklyn, or something like that. You know, you got 18-year-olds playing 22-year-olds, all right? And grown men versus kids. It don't matter how good you were at AAU. This guy's been playing college basketball. That level was much better than AAU, okay? So you're gonna get thrown through the ringer just a little bit if you don't bring it. You know that, Jeff.
I will be sitting courtside tomorrow at the University of Connecticut as they host Central Connecticut. So if you go to kenpalm.com, I think they got UConn winning by 35. So you're exactly right. I sat there not last year because of COVID, the year before, and UConn was 20-point favorites against one of the small Friday schools that we always talk about. And the other team couldn't miss. They hit 10 straight threes, and UConn was down 25 and a half. They rallied to cut it to 3 and lost the game. And that team that beat them went on to lose like 17 straight. So you're right. You just don't know this time. You don't know. It was I'm drawing the blank too. God.
Was it Niagara?
No. God.
Wasn't Marist or Fairfield. I know that for a fact.
No. It was St. Joseph's. It was St. Joe's.
Oh, okay, but St. Joe's A10 number.
No, I know that, but they're not.
Yeah, A10 is different.
But they're not the A10 of back when the other coach was there when they were real good.
You're right.
And they couldn't. They had shooting. I'm telling you, from Steph Curry logo spot, and they just couldn't miss. And it was just amazing. And so you're right. It wasn't our Friday night enjoyment, which I can't wait to get back to. But then I love the fact that November 9th, we're starting college hoops. I love it because it gets us through the last part of the year and it gets these kids lathered up. There'll be some big tournaments around Christmas time. So when the bowl games are going on, we're going to be enjoying these tournaments in Puerto Rico, in Hawaii, and all these other places. And it's just good to get them lathered up, ready for, divisional play.
Yes, sir. And I can't wait. I look forward to it as well, too. And I'm starting to look into tournaments as well, too. But, man, I love it. But let's talk about the place where they all dream to be. The NBA up first. We got the Knicks and the Sixers tonight. And just a note for bettors tonight, Embiid will be out of the game tonight. So pretty much this will probably change from what it is right now. It went from 4.5. Now it was 4.5 last night. Now it's down to minus 110 each. So this one is different. But here goes my notes on this. The Knicks are 1-3 in the month of November. I know it just started. And then they're 4-1 straight up on the road. That's a great stat for the Knicks right here. They're 3-2 against the spread on the road as well, too. They're 2-3 with the over/under on the road, and they're 2-1 as an underdog. All games as an underdog have been on the road. They've been a favorite in the Garden each night they've played at the Garden. 76ers, different story. 4-0 in November, playing great basketball right now. 4-1 straight up at home, 3-2 against the spread at home, 1-4 when it comes to over under. So they went under in 4 out of their 5 games at home. They're 6-0 straight up, and they're 5-1 against the spread as a favorite. So, Jeff, what are your quick thoughts on this game tonight? Those are the notes that I have in place for this game.
Well, I can tell you this right now. Now the Knicks are -3 all across the Vegas Strip, 2.5 at WinBet and Bet Online and Heritage. Big flip here. The Knicks were good for us on Friday night. They went into Milwaukee and won outright. Starting to play better. With that said, let me just pull this up for you, and I can give you a little more information from what I have. 6-4. You know what? Now they're the favorite. So without Embiid, Simmons obviously isn't playing. Talks about the Celtics now interested in him. I hope not, but that's another story. I would lean a soft lean with the Knicks finding a way to win, but I don't have a problem with anyone taking the 76ers as a home dog. I think Doc will have them ready. It's just a matter of who's going to score for them and who's going to take care of the boards.
Right, and the Knicks dropped 3 out of 5 as well too after a really good start to the season as well too. I think that they started off the season 5-1, and they've dropped their last 3 out of 5, or last 3 out of 4 actually. So pretty much that's where they're at right now, 6-4. So it makes sense. And then you got an 8-2 Sixers team that's playing really good basketball, but nobody's saying much about it. So it is what it is at the end of the day. We move on, and let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be a doozy. This one is going to be the Bulls and the Nets, and this game is going to be from Chicago tonight. And this one didn't change too much, Jeff. You got a plus 105 on the Nets tonight. You got the Bulls minus 125. Now, these are the notes I have on this game right here. The Nets are doing well this month. They're 3-0 straight up, 2-1 against the spread in the month of November. They're 3-1 straight up on the road, 2-2 against the spread on the road. They're 1-3 over and under on the road, and then they're 0-1 as an underdog. That one night that they were an underdog, that was the night against the Bucks where they absolutely got blown to smithereens. So that one, you can go ahead and just chalk that up to that. And then you got the Bulls who are 1-2 in November, even though they did start off the season 5-1. So you know that the Bulls are kind of coming into their own a little bit. DeMar DeRozan is giving them the leader that they've been seeking for years. And they're 3-1 straight up at home. That's pretty good. Then they're 2-2 against the spread at home. And then they're 2-2 with the over and under at home. And they're 4-2 as a favorite this year. So what are your quick thoughts on this matchup right here?
You know, it's a great game. It's a game where, again, when you take a look at Brooklyn, the favorite to win it all, and as dogs, I think the public perception here is the home team with the Bulls minus the 1.5. I think the sharper side will be Brooklyn. They're going to wait and see if they can get that to 2, maybe grab them at around a plus 115 on the money line. If you put a gun to my head, I would lean the home team. They've been playing great. But I think the actual value tonight is on the Nets plus the 2 pops.
All right. So I like it. And I think that there's some things you can work out here. I don't know if I trust Brooklyn too much as a slight doggy dog tonight. I would like them as a bigger dog, but I think this is a proven game for the Bulls. It's a Monday night in Chicago, and usually games like this work out pretty good. And Chicago is the vibe right now in the city of Chicago because they can't get anything out the Bears right now. So they're just now have went back to the Chicago Bears, you know. So I mean, the Chicago Bulls. So you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. All right, let's get to a game that's kind of under the radar, but this is a good game between two of the younger teams in the NBA, where you got young stars, where you got Anthony Edwards, a guy that they don't talk about enough, who's an absolute gem, you know, for Minnesota. Then you know, they got Cat and they still have Russell there as well too, D'Angelo. So you know they somewhat have a big three there, and then they got a lot of young players there that are supposed to be high end talents, but I think they're really good assets for when this team really does start playing well. They can start moving these guys, so then they can have themselves a you know pretty balanced team with young guys and older guys. The biggest problem with the Timberwolves is that they're such a young team, but they're kind of coming into their own, and they need a little bit more direction when it comes to the coaches that they've had as well too. But let me go ahead and break down my notes real quick. You got a Wolves team that's 0-3 in the month of November. But they've only played one road game out of the 8 games that they played this year, and they won that game. And that game was in Milwaukee as well too. And now when it comes to over under on the road, they did go under in that game, and they're 1-2 as an underdog this season, and 1-2 over and under as the underdog as well too. So the Wolves have a good win as a dog. That was against a team that a lot of people didn't have them beaten that night, but they still wound up beating them. And then you got the Grizzlies, who are becoming are starting to get the star love, because John Moran is a guy that they can't keep off of TV. Kind of reminds me of when the 76ers were real lousy for a long time, and they couldn't keep him off of TV once they got Allen Iverson. So that's kind of like the same thing for me right now with the Grizzlies. But the Grizzlies been a team that's over the years have consistently been on national television, but not seen as a power team or anything like that. But all in all, they're 2-1 in the month of November. They're 3-1 at home, 3-1 at home straight up and against the spread. They're 2-2 when it comes to the over/under at home, and they're 2-1 as a favorite this year. But they went under 2 out of 3 of their games as a favorite this year. What are your thoughts on this one, Jeff?
The line opened up at 6. The computer model also has 6. I'm seeing about 70% of the tickets coming in on the T-Wolves. The line is dropped to 5.5 straight across with an under over 217, which basically means, if my math is correct, 111, 105 is basically where they're saying that tonight's game is. Tough to follow the T-Wolves and a 70% public bias on that, even though, they're trying to look here. One more number here, Pops. Yeah, 62% here. I think Memphis gets it done. I do see a 5 at win bet, 5.5 across the Vegas Strip. I'll go Memphis sneaks this one out by 7. How's that, Pops?
Look, and you're going to get mad at me because I know you like Memphis tonight, but the thing is, though, this is going to be my dog of the day today. I just feel like the matchup's so even. And you have to understand, I just realized this team has only been an underdog 3 times this year in Minnesota. So they feel like Minnesota's turning the corner after having a good late run at the end of the season. So I think that they wind up getting a good win tonight over a Grizzlies team that will possibly overlook them as well too. But I like your thinking as well too, Jeff, because if they don't get on this game early and often, then they're going to get blown away. But I feel like if they're in this game competing, they win at the battle of the final 5 minutes of this game, in my opinion. That's how I'm just feeling with Minnesota today. But that's what it is. And we move forward, and let's go ahead and talk about our East versus West matchup tonight. That's going to be the Nuggets and the Heat, and this game will be in Denver tonight. You got a Heat team coming in here as it's a small favorite. And then you got the Nuggets as a small dog, but that line has changed. Both sides were off at 110 last time I saw it. When I look at my notes, you got a Heat team that's 7-2, 2-1 in the month of November. They're 3-1 on the road. They're 2-2 when it comes to over and under on the road. They're 4-2 as favorites, and then they are 3-3 as the fave over and under. And then they're 3-0 versus the West, and all games have went over as well too. So they haven't just beat the West; they've beaten up on those teams that they played against as well too. So that's something that you can put into your cap about the Heat tonight. And the Heat are just coming in here as a team that is playing some very good basketball against this conference, especially. So you got a Nuggets team that's 1-2 in November, 3-1 straight up at home, 1-3 against the spread at home. So that's something that you have to look at as well too. This team plays a lot of close games at home, but they managed to win them. And then the over and under is 4 at home as well too. And then they're 2-2 as an underdog this year, and then they're 1-3 over and under as an underdog this year, and they're 0-1 against the East this year as well too. They're 5-4 in the season. They're still waiting on Jamal Murray to get back as well too. I think this game is more of a scoreboard watch because you really can't, pick a winner here. I think that this game is a very even in a sense, and I think Jokic should have a triple-double tonight as well too. If you can bet that, you should do that.
Computer model had it at a pick'em. Pinnacle and our other source started out Denver -1. I got now the Heat -1.5 all across the Vegas Strip. 82% of the tickets coming in on the Heat triggering the flip. 70% of the money. Listen. I think Miami's playing great ball, and I think them and the Bulls are the early front runners in the East behind Brooklyn right now. But and the Bucks, excuse me. Find it hard though not to take Denver, say +1.5 for 2 at home here. Not saying that the Heat is not the right side, but I'm not going to follow a public bias of 70% tickets, 82% money, and disrespect the Nuggets at home here. I find the value on Denver +1.5 today, Pops.
Right, and you get the 70% off the notes I just spewed out is because they're playing really well against the spread. They're playing really well straight up and everything. But the thing is, though, I feel that, pretty much we're now into the 5th, 6th week of the season now. And so, really pretty much the first month of the season. So pretty much, a game like this is where you'll get caught off guard. The numbers that I throw out there may not be the numbers that show up tonight, but I know that's why a lot of the betting action is going towards their way as well. So pretty much, you got one team that's doing really well for the bettors, and you got another team that's just kind of middling for the bettors as well too. But you're right, though, they are setting this up for a Nuggets victory tonight. But I'm gonna scoreboard watch in this spot, and I'll go from there. All right, so we move on to our final game of the group, and that's gonna be we got Trey Day versus Steph Curry tonight, and that should be a big one. A lot of people loving them some Trey Young, and the Warriors have played some very good basketball to start the season as well too, and they've been playing great basketball at home as well this season. Now we have a Hawks team that is struggling right now, struggling pretty mightily as well too. They're 1-3 in the month of November, and they're 1-5 straight up on the road. 0-6 against the spread on the road. The reason why that their one win on the road did come against the Pelicans, but they didn't even cover in that game. They're 3-3 over and under on the road as well. And then they are 0-5 as an underdog this year. That's kind of alarming because the Hawks were a better underdog the last few seasons. And this year, they just haven't been the same team that we remember, being able to cover and being able to actually go in there and get a big upset, as a +200, +240. They haven't done any of that this season. And then they've went over in 3 out of their 5 games as an underdog. And then they're 2-2 straight up and 1-3 against the spread versus the West this year. And so, those 2 wins came at home, not on the road. So pretty much this team is kind of going through it right now. They got off to a good start, but they've been struggling as of late. And then you have the Warriors team coming in here 3-0 in the month of November, 5-1 straight up at home, 4-1-1 against the spread at home. They've went under in 5 out of their 6 games at home, and they're 7-1 straight up as the favorite, 4-3-1 against the spread as the favorite, and they're 1-0 versus the East with that win over the Hornets the other night when you had Melo versus Steph. So there it is. That's something that we're looking at here, and I feel like tonight can be the Hawks' night to be a better team, Jeff, to be honest with you. I think that they can be better tonight. I think that it's going to be an oversell with the Warriors.
Listen, I looked at the board tonight, and I like to take an overnight look and then a morning look just as I'm getting my first cup of many coffees. And the one game that jumped out to me was the Atlanta Hawks today. Again, a Golden State team 8-1 versus a Hawks team 4-6. The model says the computer model Golden State -2.5. It opened at 3, getting pushed to 3.5. I'm hoping to see a 4 tonight. I really am. I'm all in on the Hawks. I'm going to jump on them probably plus. Well, actually, let me give you the exact number here. What do we got? I can get them right now, plus 145 money line at Caesars as we speak, 140 across. I don't think they just covered tonight. I think they went outright, Pops.
All right. And, I just want to I think that if my advice is, I think it's more of an insurance play. So when I say insurance, I mean spread. You know what I mean? And you know me, I love the dog. You know I love the plus money. But when you're 0-6 when you're 0-6 straight up, you know what I mean? 0-6 against the spread on the road, and you're 1-5 and all that stuff. I just really need you to try to cover tonight. That's what I want you to do. That's what I'm expecting you to do. The win is a bonus for me, but I know that they can win because that's why they got the line set up at 3.5. If they didn't feel the Hawks were that good of a team at 4-6, then they would have the Hawks at 7 or 8 because the Warriors have actually blown out the last 3 opponents that they had by 20 or better. It's that simple. And they absolutely took the Pelicans to the woodshed the other night. They beat them by 41 points. So, it's a tough out in San Francisco right now against the Warriors. So it's not going to be an easy game, but this is the type of game where there's slippage because you have a guard that can match the same type of output as the other guard. These two are pretty much yin and yang, Trey and Steph, and that's going to make for a pretty big night tonight. On even though this isn't going to be one of the national games, they actually have the Lakers in the national spot tonight on NBA TV against the Hornets, and we all know the reason why as well too. We don't have to bring that up.
When I say, by the way, just so everyone listening understands, and obviously we've been together long enough, when we're taking dogs like this with Atlanta, our full unit play will be on Atlanta plus 3.5, or actually we'll probably get them at plus 4 tonight. Okay, then we call what a little pizza and beer money. You can put a quarter on it if you're a dollar player. Sprinkle in a little something on the money line. We're expecting them to cover the 4, but if they do win, we're also getting plus money for a quarter, beer, pizza money, whatever you're comfortable with on the plus 140 or 145, whatever you can get at your shop.
Yes, sir. And I think that you'll get an even better number by tip because once people start reading the in between the lines, they're going to the Warriors will be in oversell, just like the Cowboys were in oversell yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But let's get into the state of the Lakers real quick. The Lakers got every game has turned into a big game for the Lakers, as bad as this team has been to start the year off. But they're not as bad as people want to put them out to be. They're 5-5, and you at the end of the day, you're not going to get too mad about being 5-5 at this point after 10 games because you still don't know each other. So there's still a learning period and things of that nature. It's going to be tough tonight because there's not going to be a LeBron there tonight. But this is a team that Lakers are set up to beat. But I don't know if you can go ahead and lock it in like that because in all reality, the Hornets have been one of the surprise teams I wasn't that surprised. They've been getting pretty beat down. They've been getting beat down lately, but the start the season off, they were very, very, very good. And I think that they'll have points and times where they go on a good little run, and then they'll probably have a little losing streak. But here goes the notes I have on the game tonight, starting with the Hornets. The Hornets are 0-4 in the month of November. That's a big reason why the last time they got a win was against the Blazers in a big blowout at home. But they've been on a West Coast road trip as well, too. They're 3-4 on the road. After a great start on the road, they've dropped their last 3 in a row. Now they're 4-3 over and under on the road. They're 3-5 as an underdog this season. 5-3, they've went over in 5 out of 8 games as an underdog. They're 1-3 versus the West, and they went 3 out of 4 on the over against the West as well, too. They're averaging 113 points per game. That's good for second in the NBA. But they're allowing 114 points per game, which is 30th in the NBA. They have 148 pointers made, which is second. And LaMelo Ball is averaging 20 points per game, 6.6 assists, and 5.8 rebounds. But he's not the leading scorer. The leading scorer is Miles Bridges, the old Sparty alumni, one of Izzo's boys, and he's averaging 22.5 points per game, and he's getting 7.4 rebounds per game as well, too. So this is their NBA jam duo right here. If you look at the 2 stars of their team, and they're doing a pretty good job, and they're doing pretty much what's expected of them. Now, the Lakers, they're another team that has a losing record this month. 1-2 in November, 1-2 right now for this month, and then they're 4-4 straight up as a favorite in total for this season. They've been a favorite times, and they fared 4 times. They've lost 4 times against the spread as a favorite. This is an awful stat, Jeff. They're 1-7 against the spread as a favorite. They're 4-4 when it comes to over and under. So that's an even split right there. At home, they're 4-3. Straight up, it's the spread at home. 3-4 over and under at home. 1-0 versus the East, though, with the win over the Cavs, who are the surprise team of the NBA right now. And I'm going to call it now. I'm going to be bold. That's the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs this year. Behold, they're not going to let that star power of Evan Mobley just miss the playoffs this year. That team is too good not to be a part of it. Not as a high seed, but as a team that's in the 7th or 8th seeding. This team is good. And last night against New York should really prove that. 17 points. But it's not about the Cavs right now. I just like talking about them because Evan Mobley is starting to become one of my favorite players in the league. Now, the Lakers are averaging 110 point per game, and that's good for 8th. But they're allowing 113.4 points per game. They're just above the Hornets, 29th. But this is a good stat for the Lakers. If you say that they're not playing good enough defense, they're 3rd in block shots per game at 6.1. Now, AD is averaging 23 points per game, 11 rebounds with 2 blocks per game. And then Westbrook, I know people probably get mad at me when I do this, but I'm just stating the facts of what it is. He's averaging almost 20 points a game, 19.1, and then he's getting almost 9 rebounds at 8.5, and then he's literally at 8 assists per game with 7.9. But this is the stat that really kills me, though. He's averaging almost 5 turnovers a game as well, too. That is not a good stat. I know that point guards do kind of get a little bit of a window for, turnovers and everything, but come on, dude. This is 5. You're getting at minimum 5, right? This is a big reason why the Lakers are a 500 team right now, and the Lakers have lost their last 2 in a row as well, too. So tonight needs to be a real bounce back moment, because if they don't start this game off well tonight, then the Hornets will wind up beating them just like the Thunder did last week.
Yeah, Charlotte played last night at the Clip Joint. Lost by 15 or 14. Computer model says 1 and a hook. Right now, 70% of the tickets all coming in on LA. Currently at 2.5. I think it'll be 3 by game time. Tough spot. We talked last week in the week prior, Pops. The key to success is for the Lakers simply is this, okay? Get to the All-Star break, get healthy, retool, and then second half of the year after the All-Star break, start building. Don't be that 7-8 seed. Get into the middle of the mix and just let the big three do their work from there on out. So it's a clear toss-up tonight. Slight lean Charlotte, but again, blinking, Lakers win by double digits.
Right. I think AD has to have a big one tonight. I think that this is a 40-point game for tonight if he wants to get it. Because I say this because you're going against a team that's allowing the most points in the NBA right now. So you can't have a big night tonight. Westbrook to have nothing less than a triple-double tonight, 20-10-10 somewhere down the road, and kind of cut back on the turnovers a little bit tonight. But the guy I expect to have a huge night is Malik Monk, the guy that Charlotte decided not to sign back to be with this great young unit that they had, that he was a very big asset to. So I think he has a huge game tonight, and that's where the Lakers win this bad boy as well, too, if they can get some effort out of Malik Monk and just more from the bench than just Carmelo, because Carmelo can put 30 up, but, it's going to, why? He's old. Just let him do what he has to do and help him out a little bit. So there it is. That's the state of the Lakers for today, and we move forward with Talkin Tickets. I know this is the stretch drive of the show, and pretty much hey, did you watch any Breeders' Cup this weekend, Jeff?
I can give you a crazy war story. I was a part of 2 syndicates, and we got beat on one of our syndicates. We had the 9-horse, and I forget what race it was, when the Japanese horse came and passed them at the wire.
Yeah,
we had to pick 5 for 10 grand if the 9 held up, and the Japanese horse, hats off, amazing race. Jockey was phenomenal, came from nowhere, in and out, and got it done. Beat us at the wire for 10 grand. We came back in the classic with Knicks Go, win money, and we also hit the what is it called? The super high 5 for $16.50. So overall, it was a break-even Breeders' Cup with a wire shot for $10K. But I had it on Friday and Saturday, Pops.
All right. And the Breeders' Cup, the World Championship of horse racing. And I would say this, the most impressive horse that I saw this weekend was Life is Good. I want to see Life is Good run some more. I don't take that horse to the shed at all. It already missed the whole Triple Crown situation. Was good. Would have easily won the Kentucky Derby, the way that horse looked on Saturday. So I like to see that horse, and I would say this. I would think that they would be pointing that horse towards the Pegasus in Miami, in Hollandale Beach, Florida.
They talked about that in next year's Classic. I mean, the horse just, OMG, wow. Just, it was that phenomenal. It really was.
And a horse like that, don't take it to Dubai. That's all I can say. Don't take it to Dubai, because you don't want it to lose its moxie, because we saw what happened to Arrogant. Arrogant went to Dubai. He was a whole new he was a whole new horse. And I'll tell a story on another episode, but I got a funny story about Arrogant that was told to me by the man himself, his trainer, Bob Baffert. So, we'll do that. We'll talk about that next week. We're running short on time. Up first, let's go ahead. NBA Super High Five tonight. I'm going Knicks under, Knicks 76ers, because we have no Embiid there tonight. So I expect this game to go under, and it seems like that's the trend in Philadelphia at this point of the year as well, too. I know you like the Nets tonight, but I like the Bulls to win in a big prove-em game tonight against the Nets, who already have got off to a great start this year, and the Bulls have kind of been slacking in their last few games. So I know that they want to go ahead and, look good for the home fans and everything tonight. So that's why I have them here on the money line, minus 130. My dog of the day, the Wolves, plus 200, high value play. Hopefully it does shake out for us and does do well. We did hit the dog bet of the day in the NBA 3 days in a row last week. It was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We hit that bet as well too, Jeff, and we hit it at nice numbers as well too. So I like the Wolves money line plus 200. Then we got the over 2.5 the over 204.5 with the Heat and the Nuggets. I know that the over hasn't been hitting in Denver as much lately, but I think this game tonight kind of presents that situation happening. And so that's why I'm taking the over 204.5. And then I end off with the Hawks at the plus 3.5, taking the insurance play on the Hawks. And you guys have to understand, I put this ticket together a few hours before we started the show. So a lot of things. So there's been a lot of moving parts since. So, you guys' ticket might come out a little different, but mine's is at 35-1 at this point when it comes to the NBA Super High Five. Now I move on to the Monday Night Football bets for today, and then the Monday Night Football bets, I got the under 40. I think that's the lock of the month in the NFL. Even though the only locks we have are on our front back doors, one from Jeff. And with this one, you got the under 40 though. This might be the most over bet under you'll ever see in life, because when you look at the numbers, both these teams have went under in majority of their games. The Steelers haven't went. I think the Steelers haven't went over. I think they went over maybe once this year, Jeff. If anything, I have to recheck the stats. I thought that they were another team that went under in all games. I know that the Bears only went over in 2 games this season, including last week where they scored 22 points at one of their highest point totals of the season as well too. So, you come back around, you're going against the Steelers team that played pretty much breakneck and some really good championship defense against a Browns team that can literally do whatever they want against you with that running game and that intermediate passing game. We saw that on display yesterday against Bengals. But the Steelers figured out a way to be bullies and be physical, and I feel like they're going to both be physical tonight, and that's why the under 40 is a good play to me. And then the Bears, I feel like they'll be hanging around. I've already told you the numbers that the Bears do hang around, and they've done well against the AFC this year as well, too. I like the +4 in the first half. And how about this? We say the Bears get themselves a quick 3-0, maybe a touchdown lead in the first quarter, and we get a +170, and we do like we did prior weeks before and have ourselves some good first quarter money. And then with the team total, I have the Steelers under 23.5. I think that this is another number that will wind up being a really good number for bettors tonight. And I think that they don't go over 20 points at all tonight. So there it is. That's my Monday Night Football bets for you. And I will be tweeting these out in a moment. Jeff, what are your thoughts on that?
Single. Life. I like where your head is. If we're going Bears here, let's sprinkle in a little Darryl Mooney touchdown today. Go shop around. You could get a big number on him. The last week that Herbert will be starting in the backfield. Montgomery, the Bears have a week off next week, so expect him to come back the week after. Justin Fields, listen, great kid. He's a local kid. My best friend's wife's a cousin of Justin, so we're rooting for him here back on good old Cape Cod. But overall, I like where your head is. Again, good spots that you have in the NBA, and hope for you and your clients and everyone listening to cash some tickets.
All right, and there it is. And you guys already know today is Monday, so it's the start of the week. So you guys put your best foot forward. No complaining, no excuses. Just go be great. That's all I can say. Just go be great. So with that, this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DBIC, the PrimeTime Capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson. And as we always like to tell you, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. Bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, or as Jeff would like to say, the feet's moving forward. And, pretty much that's what we going to do. And once again, this is the PrimeTime Angles Live, the premier sports betting show, and we are gone.
East and the West. You've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.